Wow. So this week, this Charly Charlie thing is blowing up like crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, this is what's interesting. I don't know the timeline. These things always fascinate me. The germination of a trend or idea or phrase. But these days, when you have the internet and you have Twitter and you have YouTube and people are able to post things immediately, where did this begin?
They actually tracked it down, right?
Well, there is an article. Actually, it's part of their blog series, BBC Trending. And I think Mike Wendling did a little article there about the possible origins of this game that started online. And I believe, well, now it's being attributed to a Mexican demon, popularly, which I guess is not true.
Right. He tracked it back to an older YouTube video, right? That was posted a while back.
Well, there's a posting, and again, we'd have to go further back into where this thing started, but it's a couple of kids, well, teenagers, I guess, playing a game called Jugando Charly Charlie. So that's essentially means playing Charly Charlie, the game.
Right.
But they're doing it slightly differently. It's with pencils that they're holding, and I guess
whoever pushing them against.
Oh, is that
each
what
other?
it is?
Yeah.
So whoever pushes.
It's not nearly as impressive as the ones that are swinging.
Well, the ones now, I mean, that's nothing new. I mean, that's people have been traditionally something like that would be used with a pendulum, a pendant, and what you do is you hold it down. And in fact, it's kind of a wives' tale now, folklore about determining the sex of your baby. I don't know if you've seen pregnant women do that in a baby shower, but you hold a pendant over. It doesn't actually have to be over any kind of piece of paper. Generally, if it swings back linearly or in a circle, you could take that to mean yes or no, or boy or girl. Of course, boy being a lie.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I had a board game. I don't even really know how it was a game, but it was called Kreskin's ESP.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, he was big. He was big during that era.
Kreskin was the man.
He always had TV specials, and he would attempt bigger and bigger things.
And it had a pendulum in it, a little plastic pendulum.
You're right.
That I would swear was moving on its own. Because people are like, oh, your hand's doing it subconsciously, you're doing it, whatever.
Right.
I used to go out of my way to hold my hand on the edge of a table so that nothing could bother it, and you would ask questions and the pendulum would swing around or whatever. And of course, the more modern iteration of that is probably the 8-ball or something like that. You're leaving things to chance to a certain extent.
But see, there are differences, because if you're holding the string with the pendulum on it, that's yes, now you're interacting with it.
Right.
Now the Charly Charlie game, I got to say, looking at it, where you just have the pencils, and if nobody's blowing on it, if no one's
and that's the real question.
It.
Anyone could be blowing on it, but I mean, in the videos, you don't hear that. But obviously, I'm an editor; it's very easy to lose that. But in the one where the guy smacks the pen and the pencil off the table, the audio sounds very real, and you don't hear a blowing sound.
No, we always go by people's reactions. We'll reference one of our favorite shows, Paranormal Witness, where they have
it's off the air now, but. It's worth buying as a series, I got to be honest.
Oh, yeah, it's not good. My favorite, though, is the one where this demon visits this family, and you may not believe it. You may think they're trashing their own house, which sounds kind of odd. But the way they react to it on camera, the real people are being interviewed, and clearly they're traumatized, or they're really, really, again, I say, they're really, really good actors, because obviously they're freaked out, and that's kind of hard to hide. As you will see with the people on these YouTube videos, some of them are genuinely freaked out.
So let me ask you this. Having looked at, everyone's talking about it now. Now these, what you said, is ESPN or somebody has appropriated it or is making jokes about
of course, in the Twitterverse, there's a baseball feed that, I'm going to guess is mostly talking about baseball, but now they're asking, is baseball a good game? Utilizing the Charly Charlie game. When marketing takes over and corporations, now it's a Coca-Cola ad or something.
Right.
It's over as far as cultural coolness. However, you're tapping into something that's very ancient, divination. There's always been forms of it, but you see now is just the latest iteration, as you say, where now the results of this game can be posted online. So we come to this other question, though. Is it just a kid's prank?
All right, so did you see the link I sent you earlier today from the Catholic blog, I guess it was?
I certainly did.
That was interesting. It basically said that an exorcist is advising against playing this game.
Well,
an exorcist.
Yeah.
Now, it depends on where you come down on exorcism and possession and everything, but it's a warning that I'm not even Catholic, but I don't take it lightly.
Well, two things on that. The more interesting to me aspect is that the article appeared to say there is an epidemic, a global epidemic of demonic incursions going on.
Yes.
And more bishops and cardinals are attending this conference of exorcists that are sanctioned by the Catholic Church. So they seem to be concerned about it. which is interesting because I think the rise has to do with social media these days, is that, you have more instances now of people finding out about it, especially kids, young people, and then going to try it out, wanting to post the results.
Yes, and you know what else they say? A lot of today's youth aren't going to church anymore. There's no spirituality in their lives.
That ties in with it.
And that's what they're concerned about. And wherever you come down on that, we actually have another who's ultimately going to be hopefully a regular guest of the show, Reverend Dr. Tim, who has a doctorate in theology from St. Andrews in Scotland, and is a great guy to talk to about all things spiritual. And we're hoping to get him on the show here pretty soon. But not to get in too big of an issue here, but when you come back to this whole Charly Charlie thing and whatever you believe in, which I think a lot of it is just gravity or whatever, but there was one or two times that you think it only takes once. I don't know. If you go back to the Greyfriars Kirkyard episode, how I feel about demons and possession, that's what that whole episode is about in a lot of ways. I don't know, because you had joked. You said, "Hey, let's film this. We'll put it up on on the website,
just to scare you."
Yeah. And then I immediately was like, "Okay," and then I was like, "I don't know if I want to do it at my house." Really?
Well,
this is a door that once you open, you might not be able to close it.
Exactly.
If it's real, I mean, are you willing to bet that there's no chance that it's real?
Well, one philosophical argument is why take the chance. It's when I took philosophy in college. It's the wager. It's, if you don't believe that God exists, well, then you don't have to follow any rules other than your own morality. And a lot of folks do. Maybe that's on the rise. But you might be paying a penalty for that later. So the wager is, well, why just go through the motions? Just start believing, because if you lose, the odds are tremendous against you. If you turn out to be right, well, you're in good standing then. You don't know for certain. And it's human nature to want to believe in something evil because it's immediate.
Yes.
Rather than God or something of a higher spiritual nature. You're more apt to believe in evil spirits because they're more base. They're here with us. You get a reaction from the pencil. If you had a praying game to God and asked him questions, I don't know if you'd get the same results. And in turn, would people react the same? Would that catch on fire on the internet?
That's probably right around the corner. Probably somebody's going to they're going to try to ask God questions through this pencil.
Yeah,
which of course people are going to be like, wait a minute.
No. Then you have people being skeptical about that.
Right.
But what I was trying to say is, if you believe there is something to this and you're genuinely interested in communicating with the other side, what everyone tells you who's in the paranormal field is that it's like hitchhiking. You don't know who you're getting. There's a big thing about knowing the name of the demon or entity you're dealing with, because that is how you first approach handling them.
Yeah, it's like, don't say Candyman 3 times.
Candyman, and in this case, it's Charly Charlie, which may be bogus, right. and not actually. It's been determined it's not actually a Mexican folklore.
And if it started in Mexico, it would be Carlito.
It would be Carlito.
Yeah.
Jugando, Carlito.
No, don't, please. No.
I took Spanish in college. I'm allowed to say some Spanish words now and again.
Okay, yeah, but not with the crazy character accent.
That's how we learned it. That's exactly how the guy spoke in school.
Okay.
My point is, there's a big thing about knowing who you're dealing with. If you believe in any of that kind of stuff, you don't know if they're telling the truth, because, again, there's a long history of the trickster gods. People trying to fool you for their own entertainment, for whatever purpose they have.
And that is my concern. Because supposedly the theory is, with a demon, it's going to pretend to be whatever it wants to be to get through the door. Welcome back to Astonishing Legends. I'm Scott Philbrook, and this is Forrest Burgess.
I hope this doesn't sound pompous, but I don't think of myself as famous. Whatever fame I've got has come through what I've done and associations of things I've done. Peter Cushing.
Join us tonight as we take an Astonishing Legends look at interactions between the famous and their fans. So I was hanging out with Marc D'Andre the other day, and he was telling me a couple of stories that we thought might be fun to share on this episode. They're a little bit outside the sort of normal creepy stuff that we do, but they're still interesting, and since he's going to be a regular contributor, we thought it would be good to sit down and record them. pretty soon we're going to be trying to send him out to some haunted locations and spend the night and sort of see what happens when he comes face to face either with his fear or with nothing, whatever. Just has a good time, like on the Queen Mary or something. We try to find that haunted room from that earlier episode and see if we can get him in there. At the very least, he can listen to the bagpipes. But in the meantime, we want to welcome him back for a few quick stories. Before we get started, I want to quickly remind our listeners that we have a free app out now in the App Store for your iPhone or your iPad. Also, it's available at Google Play if you have an Android-based device. And right around the corner, we'll have it for Windows phones as well and other portable devices. So it's a great way to keep up with the show. It takes care of everything. It downloads them. You can favorite them. You can delete them, whatever. It's so easy to use. My grandmother is actually using it successfully. So check it out if you want to be more connected to us. You can also reach out to us through the app if you have some stories you want to share. So anyway, Mark, you had recently you had a little bit of a psychic experience, right?
Yeah. But can we just quickly talk about dinner?
Oh, my God. This is – I'm not sure this is interesting.
It'll be quick. So we went to dinner,
yes.
Sushi place.
Yes.
Nearby, Los Angeles. Very, very upscale, nice place. And we ordered shishito peppers, which I think, is pretty common around the U.S. I would
they're pretty amazing. They're like – they put these – I don't even know how – I think they grill them a little bit.
And grilled and maybe some garlic, something going on there, some kind of oil or something. Some are long, some are small, some are hot as hell.
Yeah, the catch is like 1 in 10, roughly 1 in 10 supposedly, is super spicy.
And you don't know what. Well, you don't know.
You can't
what,
tell.
Yeah.
But you can't tell. They have a hidden threat.
Everyone thinks they can tell. Oh, it's this one because it's long, or it's just as small but wrinkled. No one knows what they're talking about. So anyway, I have a tendency to if a door is if you're pulling it, I push it. If it's the opposite, I've cut my finger almost in half going into a coffee shop. Because the lock had just jutted out. The side of it was jutting out a little bit, and I went against it. I mean, just ridiculous. So tonight we're eating. I go to get a shishito pepper. I pick it up. Kind of stung when I picked it up. Nothing. Eat it. Put it down. Notice a little mark on the side of the dish. I don't know what it is. I look at my finger. Oh, wait a minute. I'm bleeding. I'm cut.
Yeah, that put me right off the
So I show Scott. I'm cut. I mean, there's a visible cut. I'm bleeding. There's blood on the little dish. We get the waitress. Hey, I'm cut. She's like incredulous.
Yes, she didn't believe you. She did not believe. Well, the dish was porcelain, so we of course checked it for chips. Breaks, cracks, it had none.
Yeah, and I didn't even touch the dish. So I picked up a thing. Somehow I must have picked up unless something, and I'm never going to, because of you, I'm not going to discount the supernatural.
I'm not sure this story is.
I don't know. I think anyway. So
all I know is that I think what you got was the world's first pepper cut.
Oh. But I think, honestly, I think on the stem, there might have been a little prickly thing that I somehow, like I said, I find a way to make anything dangerous.
All right. Well, now that you've mentioned it, you've got to send me that picture we took of your finger. I'll put it up on the website with this episode, and we can let the listeners decide.
Absolutely.
How you can get a pepper cut. So recently, we were talking at dinner, in fact, about how you recently had sort of a pseudo psychic experience. Maybe this is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but it's interesting, I think.
So, and you know me, I've never considered myself. I'm open to otherworldly, supernatural events, or I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Do I believe in it? No, but I'm willing to accept ghosts and whatever. So there's a really famous, at least Los Angeles-wise, video store that recently announced they were closing.
Vidiot's.
Yeah. Yes.
I got a lifetime membership there.
As I do.
Yeah.
Member number L4920.
Nice. I lost my card.
Any list? Well, you're still in there.
Yeah.
I think I have a couple credits. So
this was pre-computers when I got mine. If I'm in there, I'll be amazed. I feel like they had a card catalog behind the counter or something.
Yeah, I think we probably got others around the same time.
Yeah. All right. So, and by the the other store that's really great, because you were mentioning Vidiot's is one of the last great video stores. You know what the other one is, and it's right over here by me, which I didn't realize until I accidentally drove by it the other day. Eddie Brandt's.
Oh, is that still around?
Yeah. That place is amazing because it's a catalog of things that you cannot rent. They're not rentable. They're like old episodes of the Letterman show, and they can't charge you for them by law. So they have them. It's like a library. You can go in there and just write your name, and they will loan you copies of old shows and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
I haven't been there lately, but in the old days, you would go and basically borrow a VHS and then return
like
it.
a library, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they have DVDs now or whatever, but I remember when I drove by it the other day, I was like, I couldn't believe I was living so close to it, because back in the 90s when I lived closer to LAX, I felt like it was 1,000 miles from my house.
I always remember hearing about that place. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Anyway, so Vidiot's.
So Vidiot's announced they were closing, and
this place is a mainstay in LA. I mean, it's kind of like the original hipster video store. You used to take me to readings there, right? We saw Jerry Stahl there.
Yep, the writer of Permanent Midnight, and he used to write on Alf, and he was a big heroin addict. But
he was amazing. That was a really cool thing.
They've kind of branched out into doing readings, and they've actually opened up like classes, a little annex that they've opened up that
that's cool.
Trying to kind of get more things happening there. But I guess just it wasn't really paying the bills, and so they announced that they were closing on Facebook, which I rarely go on. Someone had sent me that news flash saying they were closing, and I just kind of wrote a little note saying, oh, well, can't Larry Ellison or something, just throw him $1 million and keep him going? And a couple days later, in the news, comes up, Megan Ellison.
No relation.
Well, his daughter.
No.
Is going to keep Vidiot's going with a donation or some kind of...
Just for our listeners who don't know, Larry Ellison is the founder, and I think still, but I don't know for sure, CEO of Oracle. Which they were, I got to be honest, when I was reading about them in the old days, they were the original cloud computing company. They wanted all their software to live somewhere else, and you would just access it. And I'm not entirely sure on that, so don't quote me on it. I'm sure a bunch of programmers are going to get mad at me. But this guy is a billionaire. And when I say billionaire, I'm talking about like Thomas Crown Affair, races giant yachts in the most deadly sailing race
buys islands
in the world. Yeah, in the Sydney Hobart race, which one of his boats
won.
But one capsized and people died.
Uh-oh.
And he bought a piece of Hawaii, one of the Hawaiian islands, Lanai, I think. He bought. How do you buy a piece of a state? I don't know, a U.S. whatever. Anyway, so this guy's that's who Larry Ellison is. Now, Megan and herself, she's a film producer, isn't she?
Yeah, and very successful.
How old is she? Is she our age or like?
Well, you don't want to reveal our age.
Yeah, everyone knows I'm old.
Early 20s.
Oh, is that?
No, she's. I would guess late 20s, early 30s. But yeah,
but she's legit, right?
Oh yeah, successful film producer. So not. She got her money from her dad, but no insults here in her use of money, and the fact that she
aside from the phrase she got her money from her dad.
Well, I mean, but she's using it correctly, and she's doing her own thing, and she saved Idiots, and I predicted it.
You did,
kind of,
and we can sort of prove that, right? You sent me a screenshot of your posting on Facebook.
Yes,
which has a date, right?
It's all proven, my friends, along with the picture of my finger that was cut by the shishito pepper. You will all see the proof.
I'm not convinced I'm leaving that story.
I mean, to you it's not interesting, but I think there's plenty of people in one or two states that would like it.
I have some friends that are children's book authors. Two I can think of in particular, and I really feel like they should both come out with a book called The Pepper Cut. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. And Invidious is near and dear to my heart. It is sort of the original hipster video store,
and that's almost giving it a bad name. It's not it is a legit. Place that people. I'm not almost like a hipster gives it a bad name. It is like people that love movies and they've always it's a solid place. It's not.
It's worth visiting if you're a tourist.
It's not trendy. If anyone comes to LA, go check it out.
Yeah.
Even if just to look around, even if you don't have a DVD player where you are, just check it out. That
experience of going into a video store, which is lost forever, obviously now because everything is digital and streaming, and pretty soon all of our stuff's going to be in the cloud and. It's like being able to walk the aisles and see those worn cases of those movies that everyone has checked out and, whatever.
Oh, that was like the best experiences of my life. Speaking of foreshadowing our next topic.
Uh-oh.
But I used to love to, wander through a video store with the VHS tapes of the different horror movies, and I worked at a video store. But even before that, the favorite moments of my life ever to this day, or when I would go to my grandparents and stay over for the weekend, and I would go to a video store and I would literally pick up movies for the entire weekend, and I would look at each movie, see how long it was, and I would figure out the entire night according to the length of the movie. I'd say, I'm getting back to my grandparents' house at 5 o'clock. Okay, what do we got here? We got this movie that's 2 hours, 5 to 7. This next movie is an hour and a half, 7 to 8:30. This next movie is 2 hours, 8:30 to 10:30. This next movie is an hour and a half, 8:30 to 11. And
for our listeners who haven't heard an episode with Marc before, he has a slight case of OCD.
And this is how I got my film education, though.
That's what Tarantino did, right?
Yeah. Worked at Video Treasures in Manhattan Beach. So
that's awesome. It's cool, and it is an amazing feeling.
And it's a perfect segue to our next topic.
Segment. It's a segment segue. Yes. Night of the Creeps? Is that what you're going to talk about?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So how are we going to intro that?
I just did it.
No, come on.
I did. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
It's a perfect intro into our next segment, a perfect segue. A few weeks ago, I think I mentioned before that my wife and I remodeled a house, and when we did it, we put actually a little movie theater in our living room. It's not a big living room. It's not a big house. It's not a mansion by any means. It's a bungalow is probably the best word for it. But we have a movie screen in the living room with a projector, and I like to have my friends over to watch stuff every now and then and let them pick something. Now, in this case, Marc made a suggestion I wasn't expecting.
It's just a movie I'd always been obsessed with, and I think I probably had mentioned to Scott before. It's called Night of the Creeps. And so Emily was out of town, his kid was in bed, and this was the perfect time.
This was the perfect time.
So it came out in 1986. I saw it as soon as it came out on video. I love the cover. It's kind of a zombie dressed in a prom night tuxedo, holding flowers at the window kind of thing.
This movie's a cult classic, right? It's
definitely not like
I had never heard of it, but
it's well regarded in the horror world. So, I mean, not every aspect of the movie holds up today, but it's still a ton of fun. And one of the reasons that it's a ton of fun is one of the lead actors, Tom Atkins,
That's how you convinced me to watch it, frankly.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I love that guy. I remember him from Lethal Weapon.
Any horror fan, or even Lethal Weapon, he plays Hunsaker.
He gets shot by Gary Busey from the helicopter, right through the milk carton.
Through a milk carton at I think his daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
But he was kind of a horror film veteran. He was in The Fog and Escape from New York and Halloween 3.
Good movies.
And he's the lead in Halloween 3, which is actually a pretty good movie if you haven't seen it recently. It's not related to Michael Myers at all. It's about this possessed Halloween masks that kids will put on and it will possess them. But it's actually a good movie. But he's leading that.
Right, so he's one of the main characters in Night of the Creeps. He's a detective, right? I say that like I don't know. We watched it together, but I love it. What's his tagline?
Thrill me. So every time he answers the phone, that's his tagline, thrill me. And he's kind of a very suicidal detective who doesn't have much to live for. And these two goofball kids from college get involved in this alien. This is always so hard to explain.
Well, the long and short of it is there's a parasitic alien involved. That's the crux of the story that's causing people to attack each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an alien that has spit out its eggs into this little community, and they infect people, and people become zombies, and they go from person to person and spit out a little worm type thing that infects that person.
Yes, in one of the most amazing effect shots of all time, special effect shots of all time, that thing moving.
Yeah, there's a few where the infected person will spit out this little worm creature that then goes into the mouth of the victim, and then they become a zombie, and they go on to infect the next person. It's just a fun movie, and it's very well done. It's the director, Fred Decker, is obviously just very schooled in filmic language, and obviously a big horror fan. As you can tell by the names of the characters in the movie, there's a JC, which is a John Carpenter type thing. There's a Romero, which is George Romero.
Oh, that's right. They all have names.
They all have names related to. There was a Cronenberg, a Hooper, a Landis, a Raimi. So all these horror film directors were referenced in this movie. Aside from the line, "thrill me," the other famous quote is, as the zombified dates are arriving to the sorority's house, the detective says to the females,
I'm sorry, I'm pre-laughing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The detective says to the waiting females in their prom dresses, "The good news is your dates are here. The bad news is they're dead."
I love it. It's a good movie. It's worth watching. It is truly, and even if you're not a B movie fan, this one is absolutely worth watching.
Yeah, and the cast is good. It's got a couple people you'll recognize. It's not gory. It's
it's not particularly gory, actually.
No, it's just well constructed and fun, and there's some stuff that's dated, but it's definitely worth checking out.
Now, speaking of videos and our overall theme tonight, you used to work at a video store, didn't you?
Oh yeah,
right, which we mentioned in one of your prior episodes.
Well, yeah, I was a clerk to one of the Manson family. They would come and rent movies from me. So
really, didn't he also work there? Or not work there? He did artwork for the store.
Yeah, he rented movies, but he was also the resident artist. So if we were having a sale, or when we would have like
resident artist,
we would have 10 movies for $10, whatever it was. He would do the artwork for that.
You're afraid to say his name.
I won't. Yeah,
you won't say. Why can't I say his name? Our listeners are going to want to know who it is.
Did we mention it when we talked about it?
The last time in the last episode, the prior episode, I can't remember.
Well, there's no...
Could be a little Easter egg. I mean, whatever. The guy's,
there's no danger in mentioning it.
Clem Tufts.
Clem Tufts was his Manson name. I didn't know him by that name. I knew him by another name, which is readily available in Helter Skelter, but the book. Yeah, he was a creepy man.
But he is, in terms of fame, and I guess that's a weird, twisted look at fame, he's not your only brush with fame, is he?
Well, no. As a kid, I was always obsessed I don't know what was behind it, but I was always obsessed with movies and Hollywood, and I was obsessed with getting autographs. And I absolutely loved getting mail of any kind. I would write to everyone, and when I would get a manila envelope in the mail addressed to me, I knew it was an autograph of some kind, and that was like the height of excitement to me. I mean, it's never matched by anything in my adult life as far as like how excited I would get.
So you would write to people and ask for and request their autographs via the mail.
Yeah, I think I read about it in TV Guide, how to get a hold of different actors' addresses through their agents. So I would write, for some reason, through TV Guide, I would write the different actors that I was interested in, and then they would write me back and say, care of
TV Guide.
Yeah,
I bet some of our listeners have no idea what TV Guide is.
Yeah, this is when there was no internet, and you had to find out what was playing on TV by a literal printed guide that you would buy at the grocery store.
Yeah,
and there was no taping anything. There was no TiVo. There was no answering machines or cell phones. So you just basically had to look in the printed matter.
Can you imagine the logistics behind that back in the day? Like, what's coming out on TV? Oh, now we have to print it on a newspaper, we have to print it in a little book. And by the way, I saw one at the register just yesterday, and I thought about you. They've reinvented themselves. It was much bigger. They've changed the size of it or whatever.
Yeah, and I got to say, I preferred it. Something about like that old school way. I was forced to look in the magazine to look for things, and I would I don't know, something about it.
It's kind of a theme tonight. It's like we talked about walking around in the video store. I mean, whether it was Invidious or the store that you worked at, I guess there's more of a reward for your senses when you're doing that versus just clicking and watching and
you're kind of you're taking a gamble on something. You don't know. You haven't read about it. You haven't. There's no. You were looking in a video store and you're just like, oh, what is this? I have no idea what this movie is, but I'm going to take this thing, and it might be terrible. It might be amazing. I have no idea.
Mad Max is out right now, And when I think back to the original box, that original cover, I want to see that so bad.
But actually, the new Mad Max, it's pretty damn good.
Well, it's the same director, right?
George
Miller.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah, it's worth seeing. But
I got to tell you, though, from the trailers, I was like, this is just going to be a bunch of explosions and no story. But no, everyone says it's great.
It's well done.
Yeah. So,
but I'm sure we sound like old men.
Yeah. I guess we do a little bit.
Talking about the pre-internet days.
The good old days.
Oh, well. Well, they were good.
Let's talk a little bit about what you brought with you tonight. I'm looking over at Mark right now. He's sitting across from me in our little makeshift studio. He's got a pile of black and white photographs and some stuff in a zipper bag that you might buy a comforter in at Bed Bath & Beyond.
I don't know
what's going on here.
I don't know where this came from.
Wait, is that Ted Lange from Love Boat? Wait, I thought I saw.
Oh, no, I have him in here.
Okay, so tell our listeners what you're looking at right now.
So I have this pile of autographs that I amassed over my childhood.
I'm sorry. Should we better frame that as an autograph collection?
What did I say?
A pile of autographs. You have an autograph collection.
Okay.
That's the long and short of it. Yeah, Just go ahead. Own it.
I was an autograph freak.
Yeah.
I was. Oh,
my God. Is that William Catt?
I was a non-discriminating autograph seeker. Okay. And I just randomly picking up autographs here. I have the Jeffersons, which maybe some of you know, Sherman Hemsley and assorted other actors.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, the greatest American hero.
William Catt. I actually see him fairly frequently. He lives near here.
Yeah. Robert Culp.
Yeah, he's driving a Honda, by the way. Yeah.
Maybe he needs some residuals. And
he probably got screwed.
I was kind of obsessed with a Star Wars, as every kid was, so I was able to get a few autographs from.
Oh, really?
Those people.
Who'd you get from Star Wars?
I got Carrie Fisher. Best wishes, galactically yours. I got Robert De Niro.
Yep.
Ted Lange, the bartender from Love Boat.
Yeah. Wait, can I see? What is that guy? Is that one guy say something be skiing? James B. Skiing? Wait, no, that cannot be a real person's name.
James B. Sicking.
Oh, Sicking. Okay.
He was the. I have
so he's not skiing.
I have several autographs from Hill Street Blues.
Oh, that guy! I know that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now that I see his face clearly, yeah.
Magnum P. I got another one. Joe Spano from Hill Street Blues. Michelle Johnson from Blame It on Rio. I was just completely obsessed with.
Yeah.
And one of the speaking of Star Wars, I got C-3PO, which is Anthony Daniels.
Yeah.
But probably one of my most cherished Star Wars autographs is Peter Cushing, who is a legendary British actor who was in a ton of horror movies as well. British, like they were basically Hammer films.
Grand Moff Tarkin, right? In Star Wars?
Go, in the 60s and 70s. And, geesh, this was 1978. I was 7 years old.
Wow.
He wrote me in this, like, amazing British... Well, it's not British.
Can I take a look at it?
Yeah. It's just this amazing writing. Mark, may God's blessings be with you always, in all sincerity. And it's just this...
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's penmanship right there. People don't... I can't even write in cursive. Good Lord. Yeah, and then beautiful. We're gonna scan this and put it on the website for our listeners. Is that okay with you?
Oh, yeah. And then on top of that, there was a typed letter, October 1978, Dear Master DeAndre.
Wait. He wrote you a letter?
Typed, Dear Master DeAndre, thank you for your letter. I'm glad you enjoyed Star Wars, and enclosed my autograph as requested. May God's blessing be with you always in all sincerity, Peter Cushing. I mean, I'm 7 years old.
He called you Master DeAndre?
Master DeAndre. I didn't even know what that meant. I still don't know what that means, and I love it.
Did you reach out to Alec Guinness at all?
I probably did.
But you don't have anything from him?
Nothing.
You know what's interesting? I remember seeing a quote. Oh, yeah, this looks amazing. Oh, you know what this is? This is, as a fan of all things mechanical, I can tell you by looking at this letter that this was typed up on an IBM Selectric. I'm not sure which model. In 1978, it probably would have been a Selectric 1 or a Selectric 2. and it's using the script element, which is the element was the word for the little ball that went up there. It's an amazing machine, that typewriter. My mom had one that I wanted so bad I asked her to ship it to me when I lived in New York, and UPS dropped it and destroyed it along the way. It was unusable. So this brings back some... No, I really didn't want... There's nothing like typing on one of those. He must have loved sitting and typing on that machine, and he used that script font. It looks amazing. We're going to scan this and put it on the website. I can't believe his signature.
The signature is incredible.
In all sincerity?
Yeah.
What a nice sign-off, in all sincerity.
Yeah. A classy guy.
Classy guy. The reason I asked you about Alec Guinness was because I'd read a long time ago, that he was sort of irritated with people asking him about Star Wars, and he called it that little science fiction film that he made.
Yep. I had heard about that.
He was, and granted, Bridge on the River Kwai is a far greater performance from him, but still, Star Wars was earth-shattering.
I think as an actor, you probably have to either totally accept that or you fight it. But most
people are going to like the movies that you feel you weren't necessarily at the top of your game at, not from a performance standpoint, but just that it was easy to do or whatever.
Yeah, but if someone is asking for an autograph or likes what you've done, I mean, I don't know. You can only take that as a compliment. I think. I don't know.
So who else have you got there?
Let's see. So, I was obsessed as a kid, as probably many other kids were, with Kelly LeBrock.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Woman in Red with Gene Wilder. That was their kind of first breakout hit in like 1984. And then a couple of years later, Weird Science.
She's such a pretty lady.
Oh, yeah. She was, that was right when I was,
Yeah, we don't need to get into
becoming,
all that.
Oh, okay. Well, so anyway, I tended to, with my letters, I would always leave my phone number. I would also kind of, maybe when I would write my letters, I would make myself sound maybe a little bit more, not pathetic, but I would.
So you were playing the violin strings a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to get a reaction from these people.
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Not that, not to that extreme, but I mean, sometimes maybe my life is not going so well. Not like Charles Dickens, Tom, but close to that. And so I would always leave my phone number. So one day, and probably 86, 87, there's a phone call. My dad says, hey, Mark, it's for you. It's probably one of your friends, someone with a British accent, joking around or whatever. So I pick up the phone, and it's Kelly LeBrock.
Herself.
Yeah.
Not an assistant.
No, it's obviously, you can even, I've always been pretty discerning with voices, but I know it's her. It's like, hey, Mark, this is Kelly LeBrock. I'm in shock, and I take the phone as far as I can go, all the way like away from my parents, and I'm around a corner in the kitchen, just like with it up against my face, and I'm like, hello? And basically the entire conversation, all I said was yes and no. That's all I could muster out. She's like, oh, well, your letter was, really nice, and you left your number, so I thought I'd call you. Yes. And she's like, well, did you, it was a really good letter. You like my movies? Yes. I mean, there was nowhere to go with this conversation.
Yeah, well, certainly not from Mr. Rico Suave.
And I think the only thing I said was like, are you going to give me an autograph? Are you going to send me an autograph? She's like, oh, yeah, I'll send you.
Wait, how old were you?
Yes. 30? No. I was 13.
Right, so it was more like, are you going to give me an autograph?
Yeah, that's probably more realistic. But I offered nothing. I offered nothing back in conversation, but I was, and as soon as I hung up, I just, of course, was angry at myself for like, why didn't I talk more to her? And my dad was, he loved Kelly LeBrock, and he was just like, couldn't believe it. He was like, oh my God, that was Kelly LeBrock. And I did eventually get my my autograph. Warm wishes, Kelly LeBrock.
She looks amazing. That's an amazing picture. She looks amazing.
A couple years later is when she met Steven Seagal and starred in Hard to Kill, and everything went downhill from there.
You're not approving.
Yeah.
Have you thought about reaching out to her again now that you're older and maybe, I don't know, rehashing old times?
Well, in preparation for this podcast, I looked her up on Facebook, and I sent her a message. Well, actually, I'm not friends with her, and you can't really, you can send someone you're not friends with a message, but they never get it because it goes to the other folder. But if you pay $1, you can send a message to them directly. Which
really?
I thought I was on a fake Facebook, like asking for my credit card. But I looked it up, and as trying to avoid like spamming and like all that stuff, you can pay $1, which is ridiculous.
Right.
But I did that.
But you did it.
I did it for this. Well, for this podcast,
right? I appreciate your sacrifice.
So give me $1.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear from her. But I think
a pepper cut. Now
I think I think death by 1,000 cuts. I think she. Honestly, if she sees that message, I've heard from other people, i.e., your wife,
yes,
that she doesn't think Kelly LeBrock would remember.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
We're going to find out.
I don't think she called many kids that wrote her for autographs.
No, just the ones that were on their deathbeds from cancer.
I never said that, but I left my phone number, and it was a good letter.
And so in your Facebook, so history repeats itself. In your Facebook message, you put your phone number again?
No.
Yeah. Well, how is she supposed to reach out to you?
She can send me a message back. This is the 90s. Well, this is the... I'm stuck in the 90s.
Oh, Lord.
This is the 2010s. Oh, God. What's our next topic? Moving on.
So I'm looking at this pile of stuff in front of you, which is an amazing pile of stuff. There's a lot of photographs, but the other thing I'm seeing is a lot of correspondence. Were you exchanging letters with people as well?
Well, yeah. Actually, as I said, I was obsessed with 80s, 90s, low-budget movies, and a lot of them were Canon films, which were produced by these two...
Canon,
Cannon.
Oh, okay.
Produced by these two Israeli guys, Golan Globus.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
There was a couple of I love this movie, American Ninja.
Oh, yeah.
And there was the lead actor is Michael Dudikoff. His sidekick is this guy named Steve James. And I, being obsessive even as a kid, I had read an article somewhere that said Michael Dudikoff lived in Marina del Rey. And so which is here in L.A., for those that don't know. Yeah, and being a psychotic little kid, I dial 411 and say, Marina del Rey, Michael Dudikoff, give me the phone number. I got a phone number from 411. I call it up, and kind of an old guy answers. And I say, hey, is this Michael Dudikoff? And the guy says, senior or junior? And I say, junior? Oh, no, this is his father. And so I did get a hold of Michael Dudikoff Sr.
His dad.
Yeah. And he, which was kind of cool. I just said, oh, okay, well, tell him someone call. I like his movies. Bye. So that was the end of my Michael Dudikoff experience. But Steve James, I wrote him and, asking for an autograph, and wrote a little letter, and didn't leave my phone number this time, but was expecting an autograph. I got
and again, Steve James was he was in American Ninja. He was also in the Delta Force, 1986. He was in The Exterminator, 1980. Enter the Game of Death, 1978.
He was in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Yeah, he was in
Weird Science.
Right.
Speaking of Kelly LeBrock.
Yeah.
He was like an uncredited
guy at table.
Yeah, he was just in the bar where Anthony Michael Hall was getting super drunk and doing that funny bit.
And Mask and Fatal Vision. Now that's crazy. That's a story that connects to North Carolina about
Jeff McDonald.
Yeah, which was a huge thing in North Carolina when I lived there as a kid. Anyway, so yeah,
and he was in The Player. He was the bringing one of the guards, Tim Robbins, to the jail at the end.
Right.
So
according to his Wikipedia page, obviously he's a martial artist, but apparently he was an expert in Fujiao Pai, which is a system in Tiger Claw Kung Fu. Pretty cool. Anyway.
So he definitely knew his stuff.
Yeah, he's the real deal. He's not just, he's not a poser.
And you could tell from his like fight scenes that he kind of knew what he was doing. But he was just a very like charismatic guy, and he definitely, you could tell he had something going on. He wasn't just like a goofball actor. He had like a really intense charisma. So anyway, I wrote to him expecting an autograph or hoping for an autograph. And I got back an autograph, but I also got back a letter, like a full-blown letter, which, I had told him in my letter that I, wanted to be a director, and I blah, 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 wanted to move to Los Angeles. And I was just some, goofball little kid. This is 1987. A lot of things happened in 1987, it looks like.
I was a senior in high school.
I was 16.
Yeah, okay.
And, I was expecting an autograph, but he actually sent me a full letter.
That's it there, that letter?
Yeah, 2 letters, 3 letters.
Oh, my. That's like front and back, 8.5 by 11 there.
No, full.
Can we scan those and put them on the site? Is that okay, or is it too personal?
Oh, no, totally. Go for it.
Okay, so these will, by the time you hear this, they'll be on the website with this episode.
And I always, I had said on my letters that I wanted to be a director or do films in some way, and I was just some kid up in Northern California, and he didn't know me or anything, but he still was very, very encouraging. And even just looking at the letters today, it's like he's writing, "You keep the enthusiasm up, and one day I will probably be auditioning for you for a part in a Marc D'Andre film. Dreams do come true. Always remember that."
Oh man, what a sweet guy.
And the fact that he would, I'm a goofball. He's, he's not like a big time actor, but he's working.
He took a lot of time though to write you back. That's really cool.
The fact that he did that, and just the fact that he,
What other kind of stuff did he say to you?
So he said, here's one, Mark, finish school, take as many theater and film courses as you can, either in college or a very good performing arts school, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. Have faith in yourself and believe in yourself. Find your talents and convince them you can always do the job. With that kind of attitude, you'll always work. Good luck, and God bless, Steve James. And so, I was super. I probably reread these letters, I don't know, a million times when I was a kid, and just, I would apply. I was applying to film school, and even as I got older, I think I wrote them once.
You went to film school, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I did go to film school.
That's how I met you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you went to school with my wife.
Which will be the topic of a podcast in the future.
Yes.
But so I
that's really great, though. I mean, it's just great. I mean, it's a nice thing for him to do, and
it's super encouraging. The fact that he's writing some kid he has no idea who it is, and just could be anywhere, and the fact that he's being positive to some unknown goofball kid is pretty cool. And I wrote him. We exchanged letters 3 times, and then I wrote him again, and I didn't hear back from him, and I think I probably wrote him maybe one more time after that, and didn't hear anything. And I was down. I came down to L.A. to visit.
Did that affect you when you didn't hear back from him, or did you just make an assumption that he had moved on, or?
I didn't really. I wasn't broken by it. I just said, I don't know. He's probably busy or doing something, or maybe it didn't get to him or something. So I was in LA just on vacation. I went to Book Soup on Sunset Boulevard, and I was looking at some magazines, and there was a little film magazine I still remember on the bottom layer of all the magazines, and it said Steve James in memoriam. And
memoriam?
Yeah, and I looked at it. I said, oh, well, I picked it up and looked at it, and it said he had died of pancreatic cancer.
Oh.
Just a couple of years after I'd probably written my last letter. So that was the reason he didn't write back. So yeah, it was, I was sad, but yeah, I was sad. I mean, there's no way around it. I definitely, I kind of stood there for a bit and read the article, and what do I say there? I don't know.
There's nothing to say. Does it still make you sad? It makes me sad just hearing it right now, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
He had a good heart,
Yeah, and it just in preparation for talking to you, I had looked on the internet a little bit about him, and actually his daughter has a Facebook page. My dad was Steve James or something like that, and I sent her a note. I had said, I'm going to be doing a podcast, and your dad wrote me, and it just was a really meaningful letter that he wrote me, and she wrote me back, his daughter, and so I kind of wrote her. We kind of corresponded a little bit, and I said I would get her a copy of this episode when it's done, and she's trying to get her dad a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, most people these days don't really, I don't know. There's something about the written word that's like very cool, and everything's on the internet, and everything is so moving so fast, and this and that, and it's like, just the old school nature of writing a letter to someone and waiting and then getting a letter back from them, and it's like, I don't know, there's kind of nothing that can really compare to that. But again, I probably sound like an old guy.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight's episode. I want to thank Marc D'Andre for coming in.
Hello, everyone. Oh, is that goodbye?
Yeah.
Oh, goodbye, everyone.
Good Lord.
Well, that wraps it up for tonight's show. Thanks for joining us.
We wanted to let our listeners know we're taking a one-show hiatus to work on improving our website and get started looking for sponsors. We'll be back on June 26th with a new show. Download our free app and you'll get it automatically. Our theme was composed by Judson Crane and our sound design by Ryan McCullough. Thanks to Jim Creative Design for our logo.
Most importantly, we want to thank our listeners. You can find us online at astonishinglegends.com, as well as Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Google+.
Copyright Scott Philbrook
and Forrest Burgess. Good night.